going up anymore. It's only going to come down year by year, and that's a big part of the game. But to keep it centered on where we started, on Luka, I have zero problem saying that Patrick Mahomes will end up being in the Tom Brady atmosphere. The same way I don't have a problem saying Luka Doncic will end up being in the Michael Jordan atmosphere. I do think so. I think the one thing that is going to harm Luka is that this team, the Dallas Mavericks, has done an absolute job building around this cat. And if they put in the effort to build around him the way that Milwaukee is built around Giannis Antetokounmpo, Luka Doncic would be accomplishing what Giannis is accomplishing, getting the accolades that Giannis is getting, and would already be in that discussion. We got to take a break. When we come back here in a minute, Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation podcast, is here. We'll talk to him about some of the assistant coaching hires. We'll talk to him about Ejiro Evero, decide if he's going to stick around and what it means if he does not for Carolina. That's all coming up next on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. All right, guys, I got a live reading. We're coming back with Rashad. Stay right there for me. Rashad Beard, what's up, big fella?
Gentlemen, what's going on?
Oh, another day in paradise, dude. How you doing?
Man, same old, same old.
Same old, same old. That's a lie. You've been busy. Don't lie.
Staying alive. Staying alive.
That's it. Loud and clear.
Staying alive.
Thank you. I was hoping you would continue. Yeah.
No, of the three people on the screen right now, if you'd asked me which one was going to hit the first Bee Gees reference on the show, I did not think it was going to be Rashad.
Come on, man. My dad has records, man. I'm old school.
I like it. I like it.
My mom had records too, and but of course I was alive during the disco era.
I was gonna say,
yeah. I mean, you know,
when the Bee Gees sang "Staying Alive," I
just want to point out that was before puberty, so I was killing those notes.
Man, that's funny. That's funny.
I for Christmas one year asked for a Denny Terrio How to Disco Dance double record.
No one in this stream but you knows what that means.
I have no clue what you're talking about.
It's a how to disco dance record, and on the sleeves for each dance it would give you hand motions and stuff about.
All
how
right,
to
so
do it.
now you got to show us what you learned, because I know you still remember.
No, I don't disco dance anymore.
Anymore.
I'll give you one of these. There we go.
That's it. There you go.
There we go. Yeah. My mom would have friends over and make me disco dance with her, which was, so I had to be her dance partner. Nice. But my mom is 5 foot tall, so after a while that stopped happening.
Like 1978.
I started getting taller. I mean, it's not that hard to get taller than 5 feet. I mean, when she wanted to do the bump, and then I kept knocking her into the other room, it was time to stop. I did that on purpose so I wouldn't have to do it anymore. She also dressed me in plaid bell bottoms to go to the skating rink. So, I mean, they look pretty sweet though.
Dude said this ribeye steak commercial guy could give Rob a run for his money.
That meat truck guy.
Man, meat truck guy.
He's legendary though. You're not legendary, not yet.
Not yet. I have advertised meat in the past, but not like that.
Listen, I'm not cracking on hype, but when it comes to doing certain disco dances, high problems. So
no
when
one in this chat but you has done disco.
No, there's it's a dude currently 5 foot tall. You got to get it's a hip thing, so you got to get all the way down there and hit your hip to their hip, and that's it's a low thing.
Oh man, my chat is funny. Advertising meat is crazy, Rob. Come on, man.
Say what?
Advertising meat is crazy, man.
It's a meat truck. You know those meat trucks that drive up to your house and go, "Hey man, you want to buy 5 ribeyes?" It's one of those
that parks in parking lots and they just sell meat out of the back of it. And the dude that does the commercial,
it's a killer spot though.
We got ribeyes 40 for $1. Like he's like a pro wrestler, bro. It's ridiculous, and I love it.
Oh man, the good times, good times.
Yeah, the Rob Brown Show stream where the phrase meat truck is wild might be the new slogan of the show. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is the Rob Brown Show. It is the Fan Upstate. If you want to watch that stream, you can do it Facebook.com/thefan-upstate, Twitter.com/thefan-upstate, on YouTube, searching the Fan Upstate or the Rob Brown Show, and the Rob Brown Show on Twitch, all available to you. Speaking of streams, if you are a Carolina Panther fan, there is not going to be one more valuable to you than the Panther Nation podcast. And my guy, Rashad Beard, host of the PNP, joins us on Thursdays to talk a little Big Cat football. What's up, fella?
How's it going, man? All is well. Excited about today. We get to learn about our new coach and our GM structure, so it's going to be great. Good time.
Press conference coming up here. As a matter of fact, right at the end of this show, it'll be time to meet Dan Morgan and meet Dave Canellis. We saw the video yesterday of Dave walking into the facility for the first time, and Dave Tepper was there, and they did some like weird chant thing, whatever. Hey, it's corporate culture, man. That's why I'm not in charge. But what's that press conference sound like? What do you want? Let's start with Dan Morgan, because I got to be real with you. I think Morgan over the next couple of years may be more important than Canellis to get this thing on the right track. What do you want to hear out of that guy today? Besides, Dave Tepper's going to leave me the hell alone.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting to hear how his interview went. Like, what did he go into the interview saying? What is his plans moving forward? Did he disagree with everything that was done before him? I know some of those answers are going to be, or some of those questions are going to be asked of him. Did you agree with trading up for Bryce Young? Those type of questions. It's going to be interesting to see how the reporters pick his brain, because he's been around, right? He's a holdover for all intents and purposes. He may do things different, but he is a holdover from the prior regime. So what is going to differentiate you from what we just had in that train wreck that just occurred? So it's going to be interesting. I mean, I don't know what I expect to hear from him, but I'm not, these press conferences, it's a dog and pony show, man. They're going to put their best face forward. To me, it's about the action moving forward after this press conference. So that's what I'm more interested to see.
Yeah, no, I think that's got to be the right way to look at it, right? Like at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you're looking to hire somebody, date somebody, be friends with somebody, get them on your show, whatever. What you say don't matter. What you do does matter. So I agree with that. But at the same time, I would like to see him press a little bit, right? Like, I think you asked a great question. Were you on board with Bryce? Did you want CJ? What conversations did you and David Tepper have about your relationship back and forth? And I got to tell you, like, if I don't hear Dan Morgan say, Dave Tepper said that he realized that he was probably too involved and he's giving me control or something like that, Rashad, I'm just not going to let my hopes go up again, because I'm kind of tired of making that mistake, to be honest with you.
Yeah, man, and I think most of the fan base feels that way. We're cautiously optimistic. We don't want to put our hearts out there to be destroyed again. And so we're just waiting to see, man. I mean, again, it'd be great to see him pressed a little bit, like you're saying. But you're not going to hear Dan Morgan, trash David Tepper like we want to hear. But
sure,
that's not going to happen. But we would like to hear, hey, I zigged when they zagged, right? My thought process was different. This is what I thought about some of the situations, and this is what I think about moving forward. We want to prioritize Derek Brown, Brian Burns, some of that stuff. I mean, it's going to be interesting. I'm waiting to see what they say, but I'm not anticipating anything groundbreaking from this press conference at 10 o'clock.
Yeah, and just so I think Panthers fans need to be made clear, Dan Morgan is not going to say anything about Bryce Young negatively, right? Like we all know better. That's the dumbest thing he might do. The question to me is, like I said, and I don't think he's going to say anything derogatory about Dave Tepper. I don't really need him to. I just need him to talk about what that relationship looks like. Like, as a fan outside looking in, we saw the relationship between Fitterer and Tepper. A lot of fans have question marks about it. How would you describe the relationship between you and Tepper and how you see that playing out this year? As far as Dave Canellis goes, we've had a week to kind of sit on it, churn it, think about it, contemplate. I talked myself into, Rashad Beard, and maybe this is a bad idea, mild, cautious optimism about Dave Canellis, right? I went with, he bumped up Russell Wilson's play. Russell played well enough to get that trade to Denver. He bumped up Geno Smith's play. Geno Smith got at least considered for NFL Comeback Player of the Year. He goes to Tampa. He bumps up Baker Mayfield's play. Bake is coming off now the best career year he's had as an NFL quarterback. He's done it 3 years in a row for 3 different quarterbacks now. Why not BY?
Yeah, man, I hate to don't set yourself up like that, man. I think it's tough, and again, we have to understand, can Dave Canellis manage a game? It's different from when you're just, coaching wide receivers, or you're coaching, you're calling plays for 1 year. Now you're the head coach. You're the guy. You have to manage everything. So it's more than just the X's and O's. You've got to manage the entire locker room. You've got to build a culture. So again, it's different. It's not just, like I said, calling plays and coaching position group. You got to go in there and you got to be able to manage this entire situation. So I hope for the best. And I don't want to go into the saying he's not going to do it. I hope he does. But at the same time, I'm a wait and see type of guy. We've been tricked before, especially last year with this coaching staff. The all-star coaching staff, we got excited about that. We just knew we had the best thing cooking, and we got cooked. You know what I mean? So I'm not gonna put myself out there and hold Dave Canellis to expectations that I know he's not gonna be able to grasp. I'm just hoping for some progression. Same energy that I kept last year, I'm gonna keep this year. We want to see some progression, man. Move BY along. Get some talent around him, and let's go from there, and let's see what happens.
All right. I'm glad you said that. I've seen a couple of people in the chat so far that have said something similar. I said on the show yesterday, to me, this is a 2-year turnaround for Carolina, right? I think a lot of people saw what happened in Houston and don't recognize that, bro, Houston's the exception, not the rule. The reason we're talking about Houston is because they're the exception, not the rule. And to me, this turnaround comes in 2 parts. I think part number 1 is you got to fix, as you said a second ago, you got to fix the locker room. You got to fix the culture. And I don't know how much you can do that, because Tep, I was listening, who was it? I think it was Rappaport the other day pointed out comparisons between Tepper and the Haslams in Cleveland, right? For like 2-3 years, the conversation was the Haslams are too involved. They got their fingers on everything. They're this, they're that. And then they made a couple of good drafts and they got Bake, and all of a sudden the Browns make a playoff game. And you don't hear about the Haslams anymore, right? And I think it was Rappaport that said, once this team gets to where fans want it to be, Tep's going to step back. But, man, like, you're the reason it's not getting to where you want it to be. So, year 1 is change the culture. Year 2 is talent acquisition, concept execution, et cetera, et cetera. So, to me, the biggest thing I'm looking for with Canellis as the play caller, with Idzik coming in as the OC, who is basically going to be, I think, a culture guy. Like, how do you keep this offense from not falling on its face and then getting down in the dirt about it? Like, next year to me is, let's get this program on the same page, pointed the right way, believing in itself, get that culture right, because it doesn't matter how good the free agents you bring in are, how good the draft is. If your team is scattered and you got coaches, snitching on each other, none of that matters, man. Like, you're not going to be good.
Yeah, and I think what it boils down to is patience, right? And it all goes back to Tepper. You say 2-year plan. Well, we know a coach that didn't even get a year. You know what I mean? So if things don't go his way, Tepper's way, and the things aren't, aligning properly, then he's got to be able to say, all right, let me sit back. I chose this guy. Sportsology helped me choose this guy. Let me trust what's in place and let it cook. You have to let it develop. He did that with Matt Rule. I'll give him credit for that. It seemed like he's doing it with the wrong choices. You know what I mean? So he's got to give Canellis some time to implement said culture, said identity, said, personnel, and allow him to build, right? And it can't just be a 1-year thing. It can't just be a 2-year thing, honestly. This has to play out the entire term of Bryce Year's career, right? If it's going to be a 3-year career at the end of his contract, then those 2 guys need to be married together. Canellis and Bryce Young, they need to enter at the same time and leave at the same time. You know what I mean? So I feel like, again, there has to be a plan, and Canellis took this job knowing that he's tied to Bryce Young and the development of Bryce Young. If Bryce Young isn't coming along, then you can them both and you move on. But we got to give time for Canellis to get it going, and I believe Tepper is going to do that. I hope he does that, and I hope that Dan Morgan and now Brant Tillis will allow those guys to then, again, bring in some talent and start building.
Listen, I read the Brant Tillis news, and that's Surface level, super exciting, right? You got a guy that's been in Kansas City for the entire ride that they're on building this dynasty. He is the contract negotiator for Kansas City. He worked out the $500 million deal with Mahomes. He got Chris Jones back on contract and not leaving Kansas City. This dude's done a lot of good in Kansas City, but I've also said, hey, the flip side is like they do have Patrick Mahomes. Like part of the reason for the success is just having that guy under center. But all that aside, whether the guy's a super genius or just one of many beneficiaries of happening to be working for a team that had Patrick Mahomes, at the end of the day, it's another one of these spots. And I kind of feel like we're beating a dead horse here, Rashad, where that guy might be a freaking wizard, but if he shows up and the owner's got to have his finger on the scale every time something's going to get moved, it won't matter that you're bringing in a VP of operations who is a superstar. If Tep feels like that's his responsibility too. That being said, if Tep's going to step back, Brant Tillis is a hell of a good hire for Carolina.
Yeah, I mean, you got to let the people do their jobs. I mean, these folks have a track record, especially Tillis. I was on board with Tillis back before we hired Scott Fitterer. When we did our GM breakdown, we interviewed Tillis back then and did not bring him in. We chose Scott Fitterer over him. And I was like, man, this guy, he's done a great job with Cleveland. With the Chiefs. And you're right. They do have Patrick Mahomes. They do have Andy Reid. But at the end of the day, the numbers are the numbers. Either you can crunch them or you can't. Right. And so I believe that that he's going to be able to do this job. Right. I think he's got some current contracts he's got to figure out. One with Brian Burns and Derek Brown. So we'll see what happens there. But the numbers are the numbers. You got to be able to crunch them or you can't. And so I think he's going to be able to do that, and we'll see what happens there. But I don't know. He's got to be allowed to do his job. You're correct. You're absolutely
Rashad
correct.
Beard, host of the Panther Nation podcast, joins the Rob Brown Show every single Thursday to talk Carolina Panther football here on the show. We've got some of the other position spots filled out: running backs coach, wide receiver coach, etc. Anybody that stood out to you as far as hires? Anybody that made you go, all right, that's a good one. I like that one. I don't like that. What do you thought about the assistant coaching hires the last couple of days?
Nothing groundbreaking. I do like the fact that there's some connections here. There's some connections with some of the previous guys. You know, the last go around we had a bunch of superstars come together. Yeah, I know it's the glare. It's the glare on I've got the sun coming in. My apologies. But yeah, last time we had the all-star coaching staff put together, and that didn't work out too well. So now Canellis has the opportunity to bring in his own guys, and we'll see. I like Izzik. Izzik has been around with Dave Canellis in the past, and so I like that. He's been with him in Seattle. I like the Godwin hire as the assistant head coach. That's going to be a great job. He did a fantastic. He's got a very, very good track record. He's won everywhere he's been. He has 2 Super Bowls. He's won a conference or a division title everywhere he's been except for the Colts. So that assistant coach hire is great as well. So yeah, I like the staff. We'll see how it works out.
Rashad Beard here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. As far as it goes, obviously we know he's not coming in to call plays. That is going to be on Canellis. What's his role? Like my thought was, and we talked about this very briefly a second ago, this is a dude who is coming in to almost kind of be like a mental trampoline for this team, right? Like I got to keep BY up, even if he goes out there and has a 2 or 3 INT day. I got to make sure he's in a good head place. I got to make sure that the right personnel groupings. The thing that I think he's got to be responsible for is to take care of as many details as he can so that BY and Dave Canellis can focus on quarterbacking and play calling, not have to worry about personnel. Like I know that was an issue with Frank Reich, right? Like you're in big spots in games, and Frank Reich says in a press conference, "Yeah, I caught a play for Adam Thielen where not only was he the only wide receiver running a route, but he wasn't even on the damn football field when I did it, right?" Take care of all the details around Dave Canellis so that he can focus on play calling, BY can focus on quarterbacking, and make those 2 guys as good as they can be. And from what I understand, Izzik's kind of a details guy, so that might be a good hire for that reason.
Yeah, I think Izzik is going to have a very important role. I think it comes to game planning, right? I think he doesn't have to be the day-to-day play caller, but he has to assist with putting together the game plan, figuring out the ways to get the best of the defense. And so he's going to have a role, and I think he's going to develop over time. And hopefully, Canellis could start to build his own kind of pseudo McVay coaching tree where you start to develop these guys and they start to go off and get jobs elsewhere. Izzy is a guy that's got he's gotten a lot of hype around the league. He's kind of a budding star. So again, like you're saying, he's a details-oriented guy, and hopefully that applies to all of the game planning and helping Canellis get the best out of his guys and putting those guys in the best position to succeed. So it's a very important role, even though he's not calling plays. But we'll see. We'll see how it all works out. I hope we get that question answered today as well.
Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation podcast, joins us every Thursday to talk Carolina football. You guys going live after the presser today?
I'm going live during the presser. Yeah, I like doing live reactions, kind of, calling cap when there's cap. So I like to, the fans like to, my listeners like to see me live react to those. So I'll be going live at 10 o'clock during the press conference to give my live reaction. And I'll be going live as well over the weekend during the Senior Bowl. That's going on as well. Just kind of see what's going on out there. Yeah, a lot of good stuff. A lot happening right now.
I like it.
Stuff happening.
So stick around for the rest of the Rob Brown Show here on YouTube and Twitch. And then when that's over, jump over to the Panther Nation podcast YouTube channel where they go live for the presser. And next week, we'll break it all down, big dog. Appreciate you.
Absolutely, man. Let's do it. Let's get it. Exciting times in Carolina. Let's just hope. Cautiously optimistic.
Got to go to a break. Rashad, stay there because I want to ask you one question off the air before we let you go. For everybody else, don't go anywhere. The Rob Brown Show is back after this. It is the Fan Upstate. Tell me about that helmet over the left shoulder inside the case, big fella. That garnet and gold.
Oh, yeah, Florida State. Yeah, I'm a Florida State fan, man.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm Florida State. I'm an old school Florida State fan. Back in the day, Peter Warwick Dunn. Those are my guys. So I'm not so much recently, but just old school. That helmet right there is Bobby Bowden's signature. Charlie Ward, couple guys on it. Yeah,
old school. I didn't know that. Didn't know that. Interesting. All right, man. Appreciate you, big dog.
All right. Have a good one, man.
All right, boys. Appreciate it. Y'all in the chat, you're welcome to stick around at the Rob Brown Show. Everybody else, we'll see y'all next Thursday. All right, we are going to step away for 30 seconds. Like I said, follow us on the Rob Brown Show across all of the streaming platforms. BRB.